from Odd Chopper here to break down the Friday NBA slate, and it's a big one. 14 games, nearly every single team is playing after there was no action yesterday. So while you guys come in, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a comment below to let me know whatever it is you guys think about today's games. And if there's a bet you like, let me know about that in the comment section as well, because there might be something that you guys really like that I didn't think about. And then I'll see you guys post something, maybe apply some logic to it, and I'll think, oh, you know what, that does make sense. I should also consider betting that as well. So all your guys' feedback and input, always appreciated. Also, I hope you enjoyed the time for the holiday. And we've got Black Friday going on. We got Cyber Monday coming up as well. And we've got our typical deal here on the YouTube channel, which is 1 free week subscription to our premium betting channel. All you have to do is click on the link below, get into it for free for 1 week. And I think you guys are going to stick around after you get your foot in the door, because we've got a lot of guys giving out bets in there. All the people on the YouTube channel across all the different sports, football, basketball, college sports as well. And it's been really profitable, especially as of late. So check that out, 1 week free by clicking on the link below. But let's break down the Friday NBA slate, 14 games. These are my favorite bets. So one thing that stands out about this slate is even though there are 14 games, there actually isn't a massive amount of betting value right now. I think that could change later on the day as more players get ruled in, get ruled out due to injury. But some games don't have props, at least in the morning at the time I'm recording. And then some spots also just kind of questionable because of the injury scenarios. But in spots where the news is clear, that's where I'm finding some of the value. And that's starting with Reggie Jackson under 5.5 assists. And despite all the guys that are out for the Clippers, it's hard for me to reliably think that Jackson is going to get to 6 or more assists, because he just has not been somebody who's been a great distributor this year. We have seen Reggie Jackson. He's now playing right around 30 minutes per game, averaging 4.2 assists. And then you look at his games also. Sure, he had 6 assists last game, but that was only 1 out of 5 times the entire year that he's put up 6 or more assists, and that is out of 19 games. So we've seen Reggie Jackson this year not been afraid to shoot the ball when other players like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George have been out for the Clippers. But the assists just typically haven't been there. So while he had 6 assists last game, the games before that, 4, 4, 3, 2. So it was the first time in a couple of weeks that he topped 5.5 assists. And our projections over at OddsShopper also favor Jackson towards the under here. We have him projected for 4.8 assists. It's a matchup against the Denver Nuggets where, once again, a lot of guys are out for the Clippers, but that hasn't massively changed the assist rate for Reggie Jackson this year. So I'm going to start my slate by going with under 5.5 assists for Jackson. Today's show is sponsored by BetMGM, and if you guys haven't signed up at BetMGM yet, here's an easy way to make $200. You sign up by clicking on the link that we have below. You head on over to BetMGM, you place a $10 moneyline bet on any World Cup soccer game, and it pays out $200. It is as easy as that. The language in the offer is as long as a goal is scored, but it doesn't mean for the game. It means for the entire World Cup, and since there's already been a goal scored in the World Cup, the bet is going to cash. So $10 into $200, it doesn't require any more thought than that. Just make sure to click on the link below when you sign up so you get credit for that $200 when your first bet settles. Trae Young is always going to be one of the better offensive players in the NBA, and he has a great matchup against the Rockets. But this is another assist prop that I think just looks way too high. Trae Young, 10.5 is the over-under for his assist. We have him projected for 8.9 over at OddsShopper. And once again, really good matchup against the Houston Rockets. Trae Young is having a really strong season, especially in the assist department. He's among the league leaders, but that doesn't mean we should expect him to get to 11 or more assists all that regularly. Actually, if you look at the entire year for Trae Young in his recent games, 7 assists, 10 assists, 12, 9, 9 over his last 5. So he's only been over 10.5 in one of those games. And overall for the year, these are the games he's gone over. November 19th, November 12th, October 28th, and then the first 2 games of the year, October 19th and October 21st. So we're only looking at 5 games that he's hit the over on this mark, and that is out of 17 games played. So far more frequently hitting the under than the over. And that's just why I think this is inflated too high, because something we're seeing with Trae Young this year is his assist ceiling isn't quite as high playing alongside DeJounte Murray. Murray's another ball-dominant guard. He's capable of doing a little bit of everything, scoring, rebounding.
Interesting. US is actually looking frisky at the moment. Considering England still has a lot of time of possession. 57-43 percentage. There's been a lot of those low-scoring games where the goals have been scored by someone who came in for a substitution as well. Oh, maybe I've got that guy. Nope. He played 17 minutes, did his job.
Yeah, I wish I could get into soccer, but that's rough.
All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday. Wait, no, a Friday afternoon, because we're coming here after a holiday. It certainly feels like a Saturday. Of course, I did day job stuff earlier today, got in a nice little nap, and then popping on the show here with Gun. What's going on, Gun? Looked like you had some family festivities this weekend.
Yeah, my boy came up, and we got to surprise my mom, his grandma, with the visit and all that fun, cute stuff, and then all the cousins for the first time in years together. So it was a happy family. And then did we take synchronized naps? It's like
that may have been the case.
Mike was like, "Hey, nope."
1,000 miles apart, randomly, two show hosts fall asleep at the same time.
Oh man.
Well, it's a holiday, so like I keep calling it the weekend. It's like it just feels like not having work for a day and really no content and getting to watch some sporting events and all of that. Certainly felt like a nice weekend, but a little bit of relaxing stuff. I'm about to head out on vacation myself, so I've only got a couple more shows left, and then I'm going to disappear for a couple weeks, and hopefully I find my way back. Maybe I don't. Who knows? Maybe I'll win Mega Millions on the way while I'm off gallivanting around the countryside. But we have No House Advantage. We want to talk to you a little bit about them. Coming up after us is going to be the No House Advantage football show. And then starting at 4:45, we've got the NBA Deeper Dive with Josh and Adam. And then the NBA Live Before Lock with Greg Ehrenberg and a special guest. That's going an extra 30 minutes. So you are sponsored for the rest of the afternoon by No House Advantage. They are a fun site we've been playing on over there. They've got a couple different sports formats or fantasy sports formats. They have their play-in or their pick'em games, and that's where we go against our fellow gamers. That's what we'll be talking about a lot today. You build out a parlay card from about 200 different props, and we rank them with confidence points 10 through 1. So on today's slate with 13 games, we'll have 10 questions. So with 10 for your most confident, 1 for your least confident. And then if you win, those become your points. Those points go into the tournament, and that's how you get rated out. They also have their versus the house contest. So if you are not in a state that allows sports wagering, or even if you are, you can dabble over there on No House Advantage. You can play those by picking 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions, creating your own player prop card, and then the higher the number of questions you have, the more you get right, the larger the payout. Go 5 for 5. We get 21x. That is the highest payout in the business. How do you get on there? We'll just go through the link below us here, and when you make your first deposit by coming in through our link and creating your account, you'll get a $50 deposit match. If you put in $50, they'll give you 50. Put in 100, they're only going to give you 50 because it's a $50 deposit match, but that money comes out of your account first. All right, Gun, we have the world is our oyster. 26 teams on the player in the player pool here. We have, of course, there's a 5 or a 5:30 game that will not be in our player pool. But the other key thing to remember is we don't want to pick anybody who's going to be out or anybody who's questionable, because if your player does not set foot on the court, you don't get any points at all for that wager. So if you're thinking about getting a little cute and picking something with Gordon Hayward who's out, that's going to be a 0. Don't do that. Bring us up on the top here, Gun. What are you liking today? I'm assuming maybe there'll be some Cavaliers in play, maybe some Philadelphia wagers. Some of the teams still have a lot of injuries, even with the day off here. What are you liking from the top?
Yeah, so I brought up this point a few times in the last week or so. This being a giant slate, we're conditioned to be just overwhelmed on the DFS side of things. But for NHA in this format, these bigger slates are more fun because you feel better about more stuff because there's more news that we're able to take advantage of with these static lines and so on and so forth. So looking at the board for today, we're dipping into a lot of high 80, 90% probability plays. So this is going to probably make our cards a lot easier to make and just come down to a couple 2v2s, maybe 3v3, something like that at the bottom of the card to get into. We have five plays at 90% probability or better. One that was sticking out to me early was Tyrese Haliburton assists. He's at 8.5 assists as the line on No House Advantage. We have projected for just under 11. He leads the league essentially in potential assists per game at like 20, 21. This man just creates shots for his teammates. And this is a line that's below his per game average. And he averages almost 11 per game. So I like the over here and it makes a lot of sense. It is against the Brooklyn Nets. So you play up against Kyrie, against KD, stuff like that. So that was one of the first lines that stood out to me was the over on Haliburton's 8.5 assists.
And that makes a lot of sense when we're looking at that. Obviously, anything that goes high, we always want to go for a little bit of context here and see what's going on with Brooklyn. Of course, they started off very slowly for the season. Kyrie was out for 8 games. I think they went 5-3 or 6-2 in those games. All of a sudden, improved their defense. Of course, it could have been a little bit to do with opponents. They also brought in a new interim head coach. So a lot of moving parts there, but all of a sudden their pace went way down. Their defensive efficiency improved dramatically from what it had been, but they're still got a lot of moving parts. You've got Kyrie in, you've got Ben Simmons who started the last 3 games. He's slated to start tonight alongside Nick Claxton here. So this looks like probably what we're going to see. Those guys are a little more freewheeling once they're all moving because Kyrie tends to push the pace. Durant will just do kind of whatever's going on out there. So I expect them to play up a little faster. So I like this one. I think that's a good call out there for Mr. Haliburton here. I'm going to drop this link into chat. This is our free No House Advantage prop picks. Now this is for the contest we're talking about, the ones that we call them their static props. They set the lines once they launch the contest, and that's like salaries. Okay, other sites don't change salaries because of information or players sitting out. The same thing with No House Advantage. They're versus the house. Those are dynamic lines. Those are going to move just like they would at a regular sports book. But these static lines are going to remain the same. So this is where we can kind of look and take advantage of that. But we have those free. And then I'll drop a second link in here. We also build out a whole portfolio of lineups for you where we have taken the probabilities according to the Stokastic DFS models and put out the best 200 or 300 lineups if you don't want to do all the heavy lifting yourself. But I will say searching for these props is a lot of fun, or at least creating the card. I still use the regular free projections here when I'm building out my No House Advantage card, but I like to kind of build out my own card. I usually play 1 or 2, but the overlay is just nuts. You should see about 50% overlay tonight in their contest. $5,000 up top, $15,000 prize pool for NBA. They've got a $20,000 prize pool for NFL Sunday. Check that out. They also do single game contests for all the island games for NFL and have a variety of other sports. All right, looking at some of our other options here. You know me, I always like to go look at what's going on with the unders. Dillon Brooks, points, rebounds, and assists. We're looking at 33.5. We're projecting him for 24.5. Desmond Bane's still out, but we do have Ja Morant is back and playing. So Dillon Brooks has to do a little bit less these days. So I'm comfortable taking the under on that. That's one of the 90% probability ones that Gunn was referencing. The other one, I'm a little nervous on the under for this. It'd be with Paolo Banchero. So Banchero's been out for, I think it's at least 2, if not 3 weeks at this point. Wendell Carter Jr. still questionable, but we have not seen Banchero in a long time. So what that's going to do with his return, we're not going to want to play most of the Orlando Magic unless for some reason, unless Wendell Carter Jr. misses this 4th out of 5 games. He's missed 3 of the last 4 with the plantar fasciitis. So I still am a little nervous about Paolo Banchero knocking the rust off, getting back into the mix. I don't really want to take the over, obviously, but I don't want to take the under here either. 36.5, he could get there. We're at 28. We don't know anything yet about a minutes limit. It feels like he'll probably play somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes would be my guess. They're not rushing him back. This could be maybe a 3 confidence play for me. But again, we like to provide context. What do you think Banchero's minutes are going to be tonight in the absence of us hearing anything? And they're like, nope, he's good to go.
Yeah, with the Magic, you just really don't know. And Banchero, the top draft pick, he's a guy you want to keep in bubble wrap if you can help it. So I think it could be anywhere from 25 minutes to a 35-minute window after missing 2 weeks, it feels like. So it could be a conditioning thing. It could be being light on that ankle. I think I would err on the side of caution and be closer to the 25. But that's just us, moving the needle without any true coach speak or anything like that. The Sixers have been without Embiid, which stifles their defense and offense a little bit, and we have Embiid out again, so it makes the matchup softer and makes the game script project more competitive, which is a bad thing to sweat the under on the guy that's going to lead the team in usage on the other side. So I'm with you. There's no warm fuzzies on this, but I think just based on the cautious minute projection, like I would lean with the under like the projection does, but yeah, I'm not a high level of confidence and it would be on the bottom 5 of this card, not the top 5.
All right, we've got I guess if I type in sexy, that's not going to bring up Collin Sexton. And one letter too many. That may be the magic word that brings out the porn bots. But looking at Collin Sexton here, No House Advantage has put his lines up relatively high. We're going to like him tonight in the regular DFS market because Mike Conley is out. However, looking at Sexton here, 29.5 PRA. We have him for 24, almost 25. That'd be a stay away for me, or I might risk the over. Now, he was back in the starting lineup in the last game. He played north of 30 minutes. I want to say he got almost to 35 minutes. So feels like there's not going to be any cap on him here. He's someone we were able to target a few times before he was getting good run. Feels like that's gone away. The Utah Jazz has been relatively conservative with him as he came back from that catastrophic knee injury that he suffered last year. I was hoping to find a place where we could go on the overs. My guess is we might be able to find some of those on the No House versus the House side. If they have any Collin Sexton wagers, you can find some of those that are reasonable where you can kind of go over them with a little bit of edge on the other sports wagering sites. But that little wrinkle is not going to get us there. So that brings me down to Jalen Brunson. 4.5 assists. We have him for 6.5. That's a 90% chance of making the over here. What's going on with Jalen Brunson, and how does he seemingly sometimes lose minutes to Derrick Rose in the rotation there? That just feels a bit too Thibodeau for me.
Yeah, Thibodeau is a lot of fun to project. But when Brunson's on the court, he has been an impact player for fantasy. He's also holding a 30.4% assist rate since the beginning of last year. And if we bring that to this season, that number is still there at 32.9%. It actually has gone up. So he facilitates and he drives this offense. So anytime you can put him in a matchup that it's going to be beatable, even if in a tougher matchup, this is such a low line at 4.5, a 30% assist rate, that's up there with the Trae Youngs, the Jontes, the Hardens. That's an elite number. So I'm in with this projection on the over. We do have tags lingering, as always, on guys like Derrick Rose. So maybe a little less vultureness, vultureness, I don't know if that's the word, a little less vulturing if Derrick Rose doesn't play this one. He's been dealing with the toe issue, and just more room for Brunson to have solidified minutes. I think it's a healthy total for the Knicks to target. I think the game is projected to stay close enough at 3.5 point spread that I think this could be one of those 7-8 assist games for Brunson. So I'm going to use this as probably one of my top 3, top 4 confidence plays and take the over.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. Glad you're agreeing with that. I had not realized Rose had been looking at it. So it's kind of interesting here with when you look at no house advantage, because we're looking at a lot of players that aren't the clear obvious, smash spot, so-and-so's out, they're going to be a low salary, right? So even when we try to apply that, we're not always finding it here, because like another guy I was looking at here was Anthony Davis. LeBron is all but assured of coming back tonight. He even said on Tuesday that he planned on playing on Friday. Of course, he's going to ride with that Q tag all day, except for he's expected to play. But Davis's numbers are appropriate. They're kind of right in line with where we're projecting him. I was hoping they'd still be a little bit higher. And then with LeBron likely coming back, that would be a key play, is to take some of those Davis unders. So in this case, those are kind of stayaways. The other thing we want to remember about no house advantage is every game locks at the first tip off. So everything's going to lock at 7:00 tonight. So you're not going to be able to change things around. So you don't want to wait for breaking news or anything like that. So anybody who's new to that, just know that the contest lock. And then again, if you pick players that end up not playing, you get zeros for those. They got to step foot on the court. They got to make it onto the field. They got to, get in the batter's box before that happens. So like Clint Capella today, questionable with dental pain, or sore mouth. Or probably a root canal is my guess. But if he doesn't play, then you get a 0 if you don't play him. But Bam Adebayo is in. Let's go look and see here at some of our Miami going against Washington. It feels like Miami and Washington are just going to play each other every other day.
What's that about?
Well, because they played, this will be the third time Washington almost lost to them, went to overtime when we saw Miami. I think it was last Friday, I guess, where they had 7 players played. One of them played only like 16 minutes. I forget who was the honorary 8th man that was in warmups, but they weren't planning on playing. Then Washington came back, played them a second time. Here's our third time. But we have Bam Adebayo in. You've got Jimmy Butler still out, and then a whole bunch of questionable folks. Duncan Robinson still out. However, on the Washington side, you likely are going to be without Bradley Beal, likely going to be without Monte Morris. We'll have to see about Rui Hachimura. Caleb Barton also doubtful on the Miami side. So I'm liking Bam. Let's go. I should have pulled up to see if Bam had projections. Sometimes they don't put anything out. Adebayo. Oh, Bam does have some projections. So they're rather healthy. 37.5 on his points, rebounds, assists, 20.5 on his points, 10.5 on his boards. If we're going anywhere, I think it would be his boards, but I kind of like this PRA, even though we're projecting him for the under. We should have additional information before this game tips off, even though this is still one of our 8:00 games. There are 8 games at 8:00 tonight, but if we lose any more Miami or confirmed any more Miami people are out, this projection is probably going to change more favorably for Adebayo. This is one where I'd kind of want to put a pin in it and monitor it. How are you feeling? Let's assume that Strus is able to come back and Vincent are able to come back. Dwayne Dedmon doesn't matter. We already know Butler's out. Martin's most likely out. The only other person that sort of moves the needle is Tyler Hero, and let's go look and see the last time he played. He did play the last game against Washington. He played 29 minutes, but he had missed the prior 8 games. So let's assume they're going to be semi-shorthanded against the Wizards team. Does that put you at neutral, or are you shading over a little bit on Bam in the absence of additional news?
I would lean the over, but man, Bam Adebayo is one of those guys that just has not been kind to me when I sweat his stuff. But I would lean the over. With it sounds like you would as well.
Yes, and my thoughts on that is things have changed ever since the game where everybody sat. He didn't play in that one, but he came back in the next one. He's looked really solid. And he had missed 2 games himself, but in his last 3 games, 27 minutes, 21 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 35 minutes, 17, 14, and 5. That gets us over the number. And then his last game against Washington on Wednesday was 35 minutes, 15, 11, and 2. So kind of right in that line there. This one is in Washington tonight. So I feel his projection is going to be right around that line. It's just going to take one or two people to be out. And I think he can get over that. It's mostly going to be via the points and rebounds. I'm not as concerned about the assists. That's kind of a nice to have with him.
Yeah. If he does play, I think what we can do is use that as maybe a transition piece to talk about the other side. Bam Adebayo means good interior defense, one of the best defenders in the paint in the league. And what we've seen from the Miami Heat in the last 2 years is they are always top 5 in points in the paint allowed. And because of that, they funnel more points to the outside. In the last 2 years or 3 years, we've seen Miami give up amongst the most points via the three ball in the league. Right now, they're third in points allowed via the three ball. And I want to talk about Kyle Kuzma. Bradley Beal is questionable. He missed that last game. He was limited in shoot around. Kuzma's shot volume is nuts in the absence of Bradley Beal. But even if Bradley Beal did play, we have a 1.5 3-point made line on No House Advantage for Kuzma. This dude has been chucking. Doesn't shoot with high efficiency, but 13, 9, 12, 8 3-pointer attempts the last couple games. And then you look at those 2 Miami games, 12 and 13 3-pointers. There's a good chance he's going to take double-digit 3-pointer attempts. So we just need a 20% hit rate if he shoots 10 times. So, as we say, the Eitan Sander Memorial 3-point prop. I kind of like the Kuzma over 1.5, and our projections have him at 2.36, giving him a 75% probability of clearing the over. So it correlates with Bam. So if you want to take some Bam overs and putting him on the court, his defense might funnel some more shots from the outside from Kuzma, but especially if Bradley Beal's out, because then Kuzma's usage spikes to about 29.5%.
That's actually a really good call out here. The other interesting thing you can remember here, now this doesn't work quite as much in basketball, but as Gunn described it, that's the way to do it. Maybe look at opposing players. It's harder to get synergy on the same team. There's the only way you can really get synergy is pass the ball, or both you go into overtime and your guys play more. Otherwise, it's really not connected. And even when you get down to the assists, the average NBA assist rate is it's like something like 22% of all buckets are assisted, or all points are assisted. Because then remember, they're at the free throw line, yada, 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 variety of steals and all that stuff. So it's not as many assists as we think. So it's really not a lot of correlation, but that does give you correlation. What you can also still do correlation in is football. You can look at the pass catchers and their quarterback. So if somebody's very strong, you can look and see, is there another way I can take advantage of this? You do not need to stack. These are moving independently. You're going against whatever the line is. It's not like it's a good point per dollar player you want to stack, but you just want to eyeball the other stuff. Because sometimes if a quarterback's number is low, by product of that, the receiver's numbers might be low. Maybe it's the receiver you're interested in. One thing you can look at is if you start seeing a player pop that's low for points and assists, or points and rebounds, their PRA is probably low as well. So you want to go check that out. It's points, rebounds, plus assists. That does impact our basketball. All right, we got about 5 more minutes here. Let's go look at the No House Advantage versus the house contest. So I'm going to go click over there. Producer Mike will probably do the same on the screen for you guys. So versus the house, bring in more sports in play. We've got some college football up there. Of course, we don't have free college football picks for this, but we do have college football behind the paywall here. And of course, we have our best deal ever, because in honor of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we are giving away 1 week of all access Stokastic Plus for just $5. So we're not giving it away, but it's just $5. That's 90% off the regular rate. This deal is going to go for a couple more days, but you get everything, all sports, all tools, all everything. That gets you the college football and college basketball stuff. We do have by player, by stat projections, courtesy of Matt Kajeski, for football and basketball. So you can use that on these No House Advantage against the house lines. We also have the NBA ones. Some of those you'll be able to eyeball a little bit from our free projections, but remember, that's going against those static lines. You go over to our sister site, Odd Shopper, The vast majority of these, you just type in the player's name, go see what the wager is. We're going to be giving you free out of Odd Shoppers that player's projections for those stats. You want to find them more easily for these live bets, you'll need to sign up for these Stokastic projections. Hey, you get all those for that $5. But for those of you being a little frugal, you can get those over via Odd Shopper. You do have to sign up with an email, but that's the only request. And then you get like one email a week. You know what the email week this was? Telling you about the Black Friday deal where you can get everything for $5. Okay. We're not going to spam you. We're just saying, hey, we've got some good stuff here. Come check us out. So those are some ways to get in there. But here we've got, let's see, did you run your model at all today?
A little bit.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. The one, if we're talking about versus the house, a guy I do like to take some overs on is D'Anthony Melton. Okay. Still adjusting for no Harden, no Embiid. The Anthony Melton shot volume has been pretty high. Him and Shake Milton have been kind of like my favorite clicks in DFS, but maybe the Melton real points at 18.5 or his 2.5 3-pointers made. I'd be leaning more so the real points here. He has taken 16 and 18 shots the last 2 games without Embiid. Gets a softer Orlando Magic defense that hopefully play a little bit more competitively with Banchero expected to be back. I just think the shot volume will be high enough for him to kind of clear that line. It might be a tight squeeze, 18-20 points, but I still lean the over on that 18 it's 18 and a half. 22 points. 18 and a half was what my brain was trying to say. But yeah, that's when I would probably get behind from this far out. But lines are generally pretty competitive on the versus the house.
Yes. And again, people are like, well, these sucks. These are too sharp. They're giving away money hand over fist and overlay on the other contests. Yes, these are just like a regular sports book. They're not going to have quite the same offerings, but they're going to essentially be very similar. So for those of you that do not have sports wagering in your site, here's the most close facsimile you're going to get anywhere. And they'll have tonight, they just have college football and NBA, but they usually have NHL up, a lot of shots on goal. For football, they'll have a bunch of football stuff up. And then, of course, obviously NBA, as we've mentioned, they have been dabbling a little bit in college basketball. Sometimes it's harder to hang lines on that for the smaller sites because they may not do the full projections, et cetera, themselves. And they're not going to waste the time to be running feeds and doing whatever on the other sites. They don't want to hang bad, stale lines out there and get crushed on them. So they're just putting the ones kind of that are a byproduct of what they're using to create their other contests and their algorithms and such over here. But you can find ways to exploit them. It's enough that if I did not have sports wagering where I do now, I would come over here and look to make 2 and 3 card parlays on in their player props, and that would scratch the itch for me on some of these. And it's all about having the fun. So if you do go 2 for 2, that's the double your money. 3 for 3, 2.5x. 4 for 4 is I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The payout is 1, 2.5, 5, 11 for 4, and then 21 for 5x. No points for missing anything. You miss something, cards invalidated. Hey, just like the regular sports books. But you get 21x, so you're not getting that 30% big on the same game parlay wagers where they shoehorn you into stuff. Bastards that they are. All right, we're at the top of the hour. We got to get out of here for No House Advantage football, which is going to be coming on after us. And then at 4:45, you're going to get sponsored by No House Advantage, the deeper dive, followed by NBA Live Before Lock, taking you all the way to 7:30. Nothing but No House Advantage for the next 3 hours. With that, gamers, you can follow Gundacker at Gundacker on Twitter. I'm at EMac DFS, and it is a Stokastic _ COM. Good luck.